as Super Marco. So Super Marco definitely needs to take advantage of that, especially with the range.
Yeah. He's got the range that he can work with, but taking a look at the lineups one last time before we jump into game one here, you guys can go ahead and decide too which team has the stronger draft here. Is it Smart Omega? Is it Falcons leading?
Welcome to Mobile Legends
match for day 3. MPL Philippines S15, and the first time that we're going to actually get to see Smart Omega play, and this is the draft they bring to this game 1. And with that too, again, we know that they can play around with this mobility. Like anytime you see Joy in the jungle, you're going to be working around with the mobility, and you top off that by having that Hylos there to help kind of slow down the opposing team. But you just have to watch out for the amount of crowd control from Falcons here.
You would really want to be as aggressive as you can, especially as Ukir here. But one common trend we've been seeing in the previous games as well is just how teams up against the Selena just try to make sure that they gain control of the mid lane. Their mid duos tend to be more aggressive, but now that the Tigreal is in Team Falcons' hands, so they kind of probably could play around that a little bit more. It's the hit or miss concept of the Selena that they really have to take into consideration for the early game.
Looking at the emblems here too, you know, the Flap TZ running with a hybrid as well, you know, just helping them on this Badang. And I know there's a couple different versions of Badang, XP lane, and even that roam version. So, hold on, whoa, Chaknu.
Early revitalize on a Chaknu, gets hit with a retribution, slow down. Is there enough damage? Yes, there is. Karltzy draws first blood.
That Abyssal Trap didn't even hit. That was some sort of way, but this is what we're expecting from Team Falcons. Once you deny that snowball, that early threat of those quick rotations coming from Smart Omega, which we aren't really seeing right now since it seems like Ukir is trapped here in his lane, it's one of the biggest threats you could have as a Selena. Like, if you're not able to rotate and be a huge threat using those random Abyssal arrows from different angles.
Okay, Lewis comes down to the mid, gets that level 4. They're going to go ahead and start up this fight for the first turtle. Falcons will get in position 2. They've got what they need.
Looking like they're taking it slow as Few catches an arrow. That's a man down for Team Falcons with Karltzy. Finesses, a retribution, the implosion by Ogwin. And Doryu bites it. Ogwin gets a kill. Big knockup. Lewis barely standing, gets hit with a fist crack and a fist break. And now Chapman the only one left. The surge and the finishing touch, the flourish by Kyle.
Ukir's left alone here. Will he still go for those 3 members?
Ogwin knocking them out, serving up a triple to Karltzy.
I'm not sure, you know, if the concept, the idea there from Ukir was like, I want to get one, but unfortunately ends up giving another kill over to Karltzy. Talk about an early game power spike already for Suyo, 4-0 in 1.
Yeah, and everyone there were grouped together. So even when that single Abyssal arrow connected onto a great target, speaking of another target, that's Few.
Purify already spent up, serving up a kill. Ukir goes, Chaknu, Glorious Pathway defensively used. That is a 1-for-1.
Oh, 2 immediate Hunter strikes picked up for Super Marco and Karltzy. We haven't even paid much attention to the gold lane, but given all the action that was happening towards the opposite side of the map, it seems like Super Marco was able to gain a really good control of his own lane. He's ahead by almost 1,000 up against Jome. This is not looking so good, but at the same time, something we probably expect from Smart Omega in the early game.
I mean, that's, you know, I know you like to play Suyo, Leo. That's every jungler's golden dream, if you will, because it's golden month, right? You get 5-0 right now on a Suyo. You got the Hunter strike this early.
I did this earlier today.
You did. I was there.
It feels great.
I was there.
It feels great. Oh, Flap TZ catches one. Serving up a kill for Few. Nice pick off for Falcons as Omega is left reeling. Again, Falcons drafted a lineup that goes online much earlier. I don't expect it to happen on the other side of the map.
It's funny because Brigida mentioned this before we into the game. Like, both lineups look like they want to start aggressively, and it was just Falcons that started the flight earlier in this game 1. Garnering nearly a 4,000 gold lead at 4.5 minutes in. This turtle should be theirs. But it looks like Smart Omega actually wants to contest it.
Glorious Pathway by Chapnu, deterring any retreat from Falcons. Turtle falls, Karltzy gets an extra shield, slays it, 100% 2-for-2 so far. Feather strike by Few. Look at the back line, and Doryu trying to find idle among kids as Chapnu tries to deter any more retreats once more. Flap TZ gets one. Lewis served up a kill, and now Super Marco blasting away. Sever from Karltzy. Now the Primal Wrath, and Super Marco slays the wild Centaur man as they walk away with more kills still on the board. 4,000 gold ahead.
That team fight was long enough for Super Marco to make it.
Yeah.
And he was able to get that kill, which could just probably add up to the way he's currently leading in terms of gold. He's the highest earning man in this game so far, and that isn't looking so good. If he gets the Sky Piercer immediately at this point of the game, then the range will be a huge threat here for Smart Omega.
Asking you shall receive.
Asking you shall receive. He's already got it locked in, so, you know, that's why he wants to be joining these fights when he can. But I was also impressed with the fact that even despite that deficit before that turtle started up, that Smart Omega was actually able to go ahead and duke it out for that fight and last that long. You know, the only downside, and I know the Salinas have been popping up a lot now, and it's like you throw out the arrows, if they don't land, it's unfortunate because, you know, you kind of have to wait for the next cooldown to be up before you can actually do much in a team fight kind of objective there. Oh, we're not going to land that.
Okay. Well, I mean, the lineup here for Smart Omega, the concept of like having Chaknu constantly gather information or constantly be in the faces of Falcons actually increases the chances of those abyssal arrows connecting, right? And actually finding ways to start the team fights for Smart Omega. But as we've previously mentioned, it isn't like they actually spot out members from Falcons alone. It's always that they're grouped together or paired up, similar to what we're seeing across the map right now. And even when they decide to go in, it doesn't feel like their damage is enough. The fights always get split up, and even when they go for their targets, it just doesn't work!
Chom gets taken out off camera as Karltzy and Few, alongside Ogwin, dodge a quick pincer attack. Super Marco retaliates. Lewis taken down. Chatman down to half health, backs off. That was a gank that I think Omega wanted to take for themselves, but Falcons instead finds them in a trap.
They went that position for the sandwich play, and then it just kind of backfired on them. Again, you have to take in consideration just how far ahead, you know, items and gold-wise Falcons are. So even though that might have worked in their favor, ultimately it just backfires.
Yeah, and it's very unfortunate that it was Jome which fell first for Smart Omega.
Ogwin ready for a fight. Flicker implosion coming in from the master. The answer, the Felder strike. Glorious pathway set in by Chaknu. Marco shut down by Andorio, though too much of the electrical beats. And Chom gets taken out by the ultimate combo of the Filipino cannon. 2 for 1 the trade.
How do you dance around the members of Falcons Esports if you were Jome? You would want to go with your heavy crossbow, just run around and damage their members, but you'd have to take into consideration the burst coming in from Few at this point, that well-reserved and timed implosion plays from Ogwin, and the disruption from FLCN. It worked so well for Falcons Esports now that they're able to group up so early.
That's why I like but you know, and I've been a fan of Badang before he started fitting in this meta. But you're going to take a look here at the replay, and great implosion here too, but watch Flap. Like, this usage of the Badang stops that tempo. It breaks the tempo that Smart Omega was trying to build, and that's why Badang fits so well in this current meta, because he's able to do that, and that's the utility that he brings. I mean, obviously, even when you build him like this, right, he's pretty much tanky, but it's mainly for those abilities to go ahead and get the fist crack in, get the ultimate down, and everything else. So very great usage of the utility this hero brings to these team fights.
Oh my god, look at this. No regard for self-preservation. Karltzy goes straight for the BOD. He doesn't care. No, I don't want Winter Crown. I just want to kill.
Yeah, it's actually just Flap, which is kind of tanky right now.
They get one in. Plus the snipe from Super Marco from downtown. Chaknu falls.
That was just well lined up right there, you know?
Yeah.
And it keeps happening. Andorra, I'm not sure, again, if you want to really be in two kind of risky positions, but maybe if you're Smart Omega, this is just kind of what it results to, Brig.
Yeah, you can't just go in if you were Smart Omega, even if you were Andoryu. Few also has the Blood Wings already, so he will probably have higher chances of being able to escape or even use the Wings by Wings to get away from all those attempts from Andoryu. And if it weren't Andoryu, earlier we've seen this scenario where Jome actually tried to just dish out the damage, but aside from the fact that it still wasn't enough, the fist crack, the fist break, they were all reserved from him. So amidst all the chaos, Flap was just able to make sure that Jome was someone they were able to pin down. So things aren't becoming that easy for Smart Omega, especially as now first objective went into the hand of Falcons, and it doesn't seem like they'll be letting any outer Earth stay after this.
Yeah, this is tough too, because if you're looking at the lineup for Smart Omega, like, you need quite a bit of time for them to actually get online, especially for this Irithyll. You know, again, Ukir is only really able to land off the shots, but then you can't really follow up even if you get an Abyssal Arrow off just because of how far behind you are. So these turrets are going to be made quick work of while they wait for that Lord to approach from the bottom side, but they're just going to go in.
They pop the Holy Shield, ushering in one small siege minion, and top lane as well. We'll see a crash on the wave. Smart Omega doing their darndest to quell Falcons' push.
Yep, and Doryu just will really try to minimize the amount of waves that will be coming in, but we can't deny the fact there's a concealed play as well from Master Ogwin. They could threaten away Smart Omega. I cannot see the tempo setting come in from Smart Omega.
Few pulls out the feathered airstrike, pushing in bottom lane inhibitor. That's just the top lane left for Smart Omega, and they're doing their best. They are holding on. They can't even leave their base.
They can't leave the base. 11 minutes in, 12,000 one here for so far with the Barangay just do. They've resulted in throwing Andorra.
Andorra, they need you. The flick. Lewis might not work out. Okir falls first. Lewis follows up next. Chaknu down as well. It's a double for Kyle, and that leaves you to defend.
There's Andorra.
You want to buy time, but how could you in this kind of situation where Falcon just keeps going for it?
Charge Surge, finding Andoryu, forcing him to back off, retreat into his own side of the jungle. Oh, he's playing possum. He's just having Falcons chase him down. Kyle and Andoryu. Oh, all right.
They're up top.
Hiding in one, surges into one brush, feints the recall. Karltzy severs the heel. Andoryu running around. Tom and Jerry.
Trying to catch him here. The rest of the team, they're happy with it.
Oh, in comes Few. Wings by wings, they know that they're in the white brush. And the stun.
But perfect timing. Andoryu won't be there for the Lord. Not that they could be confident enough to contest it either way, but that just minimizes their chances of making other plays, which could like bring up their goal, because that's what they need. That's what they need right now. They're clearly at a disadvantage, and it feels like a very passive situation or gameplay from Smart Omega.
This is one of those situations where you just, I don't know, even for me, it's like, man, we gotta move on to the next. You saw the damage, right? I mean, even Okir and Jome were behind Flap. And I know, you know, Flap, for the most part, playing this, but then he's been able to just set things up with that fist crack and the fist break and everything else, but that's a big problem for Smart Omega. The Lord is obviously taken. It's going to get ready to march in the base. Falcons did everything they had to on the first Lord, getting all the turrets down. So base is exposed, and now you're facing probably one of the biggest leads this weekend. Deficits that Smart Omega has to deal with as this Lord marches in.
I mean, if they get to go for the bounty onto Karltzy, that'll be a lot too, but how could you just go for him? Everything is being set up perfectly for the damage dealers of Falcons. And now that we're just waiting for the Lord, I don't see any play that Omega could do at this point. Not unless Luis decides, but they start it themselves.
Easy, compromising Andoryu, the glorious pathway coming in, and their violent Chaknu, the Lord, the implosion, the feathered airstrike, all but the kitchen sink thrown at Smart Omega. Lewis and Chaknu fall. Andoryu trying his darndest, double kill for Super Marco. Down goes Jome, Ukir the only one left, and that'll be it. Game one goes to Falcons.
A dominant game one for Falcons as they fly high already. A massive, massive lead that the Barangay could do nothing about.
That last sequence looked very, very sad for the Barangay. Imagine relying or wanting to rely on your setup heroes, on your frontliners to tank and soak the damage as well as create an opening for you guys. But they're the first to be taken out. They were the two recipients. Chaknu and Luis were the recipients of the implosion, and that was all that mattered here for Falcons. They need not worry about the damage dealers anymore because they knew that they could gain immediate access given the lead that they had in their hands.
You know what? I'd be lying if I said Omega's draft was consistently connected. I think they were trying to do a little bit too much across the board.
I think And if that's the case, this was literally the key to victory here for Falcons, right? Was like disrupt or break that tempo. So if it was Smart Omega really trying to set a tempo, man, they just never had a chance. And that's exactly what happened in the game. And, you know, even for Flap in that last sequence that also Brigham mentioned here, like Flap to go in, start the fight. Remember, the Lord was a ways away. They just go ahead, they whittle them down from range. Flap started the fight. They had no choice but to be forced into it. And then that gave that perfect moment, that opportunity for Ogwin to jump in and land that implosion.
Yep.
And I don't know, man. Like, I mean, they all had massive games here, like leads and everything. But what MVP we're going to see in here in just a second, I'm assuming it's Karltzy. Like, he had such a snowball game on this Suyo. Yep, okay.
Yep.
Of course, MVP for game number 1, Karltzy here.
You mentioned breaking tempo, but I didn't feel like there was any tempo to begin with for Smart Omega, because it was Karltzy who immediately snatched the first blood, and that was onto Chakno, which I also feel wasn't able to serve as much as the frontliner or the tanker for all the damage, because given the range of those Death Sonatas, all those fettered airstrikes, even him being able to receive all that felt like he couldn't take all of it, and that was his main role. Every single time he decided to show up against information, they would find some ways to poke him down, and he'd have to use the glorious pathway defensively, away from everyone else. And even when Smart Omega tried to go for the trades, they knew it. They didn't have enough damage, and this was that moment wherein Chakno immediately fell, and it just seemed so hard for Smart Omega to bounce back right after that.
It felt like one of those things, because we talk about tempo so much, it's like, in my visualization of this, as we see the highlights here, is like, you guys know those tempo-based games when you got to hit the things on the right moment? Like, you come with your best, like, guitar setup, your gloves and everything else, and you immediately start hitting the wrong notes, the wrong tempo things.
Called rhythm game.
The rhythm game.
Yeah. Project Diva. Hatsune Miku. I'm a big fan.
You were the ones in the time zone arcades holding the bar behind you.
That's DJ Max. That's DJ Max respect. Reloaded.
Respect. But that's what I felt like. You know, I just feel like and we're going to mention this, like they really didn't get any tempo going. And it really started in that early game when that first blood went over. And they just kind of honestly got slaughtered here in game 1. It was not anything going in the way of Smart Omega at all. So hopefully they can make a quick adjustment going into game 2. Otherwise, Falcons might just go in with a similar game plan.
In comparison to a lot of the games we've seen in days 1 and 2 of Season 15.
Yeah.
I think this is a game where you can say it was over even before the Lord was inside the base. At around 9 minutes, I think you could have said...
That first Lord, right?
Yeah. It looked like Falcons knew that it was over.
Yeah, even when they were just chasing Andorio around the map, because Andorio was trying his best to at least still get some farm across the map, even on the opposite side of the map, because I don't recall any turrets being taken down. Yeah, this confirms it. Omega wasn't even able to get a single turret off of Falcons, and that was a very difficult position to be in, given the lineup that they had, which kind of makes me wonder as well as to what could have been their backup plan. Because there was clearly a major condition that had to be fulfilled in the early game, given the Selena mid lane and the Hylos alongside her, right? But given that it wasn't able to be as successful as they should have made it be, then what could have been the backup plan? Because was it just really Big J on the Irithel? Because I don't think even Big J could have served enough damage to deal with all that.
I think a big problem here, and this is what we're seeing actually just current meta, and a lot of teams are doing this, is you have to take that risk-reward factor or the pros and cons of a Selena pick. Because I think, yeah, again, Big J was the major damage that could come through here eventually from Smart Omega. You know, obviously we know Joy has good early game damage, but when you get so far behind, it's tough to deal with. But then again, Selena, you're there for those setups with the traps, obviously vision, and the arrows for those stuns. But if you fall behind, in comparison to a Farsa that is just popping off damage from the beginning of the game, it's not even, it's like night and day, you know, the amount of use that you get from this pick that Few has in comparison to Akira throughout the game.
Yeah, Few has confirmed damage. Few has confirmed utility. Ukir was at best providing vision,
Yeah.
and then the arrows, if they don't hit or they hit the wrong target,
You just run around for a little bit.
yeah,
That's what you do.
you go back to square one. So
Yeah.
that's what I hope Omega fixes going into game 2.
Yeah.
Just a more easy to execute plan and something that's more consistently capable of fighting back.
Well, hopefully they can, but also for you guys watching at home, to stay updated with everything MPL PH, join the MPL Philippines official group and the MLBB official Discord channel. Share everything with the MPL community. We got stuff for you guys there.
You also have the chance to be featured as the Super Fan of the Month. Just scan the QR code right about, yay, they're over there, all right? And be part of the MPL PH family.
To be a super fan of the month, just share any news and updates in the group, engage with the community, and keep it positive. We appreciate you guys. Again, there's so many great community groups out there, but that's the official one. So we want you guys there, of course, joining us and sharing your discussions, because you know what? We have learned over the seasons that a lot of you guys, you might have bigger brains than at least I do. I won't speak for everybody else, but there's definitely a lot of people out there that have bigger IQ.
Yeah, that's why sometimes we include some comment down below options in our community calls, because we really get a lot of input from our community from time to time. Some even really worthy of being used officially on broadcast, so just keep them going.
For sure, there's at least a dozen people who have a 100% prediction rate that come to my videos and say, you got it wrong. Yeah, why, how did you not see that coming?
There's always going to be those people, man.
No, they're right though. They're right, I'm wrong, do whatever works for you.
Hey, at the end of the day, I want to hats off to you, man, for being brave enough to throw your predictions out there in the public, because not everyone would do that. I don't do that.
And I'm still here.
And you're still here.
That's right.
I'd love to have you continue your predictions.
Right or wrong, I'm going to be here.
I'll tell you this, though.
You know where
man.
to find me, yes.
I will find you right here, and I'll tell you. I think a lot of people's predictions were off on week 1.
Oh yeah, for sure, especially last night.
Especially last night,
Especially
because
last
I've
night.
seen the clips going around, even the official community group that we just mentioned, and over on the Discord channel, and then over on the other platforms, and a lot of people have reacted to yesterday's performances.
Trolls were busy last night, telling everyone you were wrong.
They were. Again, but we love to see your guys' feedback and, of course, your thoughts on everything happening right now. Week 1's always exciting. It's a time to kind of witness what a lot of the teams have been cooking up. And right now, Smart Omega, we saw that. Hopefully, we can see more for Game 2. But before we get to Game 2, we're going to throw it over once again to the All Access segment. Let's see what they have to say.
Now, just outside the MPL Arena, we are here right in the middle of the Infinix Fancy Laban booth.
Kasama natin dito ang mga fan representatives ng ating mga teams, at ngayon makikita nyo dito ang mga fans from Falcons Nest at ng ating mga kabarangay dahil sila ang naghaharap ngayon.
Alam mo, para mas madaling ipaliwanag, halika. Tara dito, okay? So, para mas lalo tayong maging malapit, dito you're currently looking at Team Falcons, yung kanilang fanbase na tinatawag na Falcons Nest. Meanwhile, on the other side, yung mga kalaban nila ay...
Dito naman sa kabilang kampo, nandito ang ating mga kabarangay from Smart Omega. At may standings din ang ating Infinix Fancy Laban.
So obviously, more or less best of 1 lang talaga yung magiging scenario. And I think kung sino yung mga maglalaban na pro teams during that day, sila rin yung mga mafe-feature na fan bases sa darating mga laban, right?
Yes, and every week nangyayari to, Hans, ang ating Infinix Fancy Laban. So we encourage everyone to come here and join us.
Kaya agahan yung mapunta dito para may chance kayo na mapanood ng mga susunod nating mga laban ng mga kapwa fans nyo rin. Because who knows, you might be the next Infinix Fancy Laban champion na naganap na rin kahapon. But for now, since you all know that, we're gonna toss it back to our casters.
All right, for some of you watching there, you're probably what's going on here, right? I know that was mostly in Filipino and Tagalog there, but Brig, what is Fansiklaban? Like, what's going on?
What's a Fansiklaban?
What's a Fansiklaban?
All right, so based on what they mentioned, Fancy Laban is simply the fan base version of the MPL. So if you're a fan of a particular team, you can come in early and then join the Fancy Laban and fight against the other fans. So you represent your own team, and this goes on for the entire regular season. I believe they even have their own standings being flashed at the ending of
And
like
they play in the
each
playoffs
week.
too, right?
They also have a playoff.
And they also have sometimes casters even cast those games.
It's as close as you can get to playing like a pro.
Well, join us while you can. We're going to take a look here. Again, this has been a hot topic of discussion. Selena's ranked game data. Here's Fuse at MPL PH all-time Selena stats. Like 38 games played a rank 1. So this is like the most games played. And he has an all-time win rate of 55%. He is the guy.
He is Selena
He is so... He's
in MPL Philippines.
Oh, so that's why he wasn't so threatened playing against it even.
He knows.
He knows.
He just knows how to dance around all those arrows and even avoid. Because sometimes I feel like I'm a abyssal arrow magnet.
I feel like, hey,
I am too.
You are?
you feel like Brenny Sports then in Circuit Makati about 7 years ago.
7 years.
In 2018, when Signal Ultra then, where Few was playing, won an MPL championship in the grand finals. That's you.
Is that... I mean, that was part of the Idol Among Our Kids. Like, I mean, that's when
That's the era.
That was the era, you know?
I mean, it was like from a Fanny to a Selena.
To a Selena,
right? Like,
to everything.
He used all the high mechanical heroes.
He Grangered in the SEA Games.
So everyone just kept looking up to him. And
Yeah.
he's also, the first to bring it back.
Yeah, he was the first player to pick it up in MPL PH season 15. And then, I mean, we did see the Selena pop up as early as, what, SBS, I think was like
Yeah.
probably... Because if I recall right, we didn't see an M6, did we?
Nope.
No.
It was not an M6 at all. Came through an SPS. So
After the rework.
Yeah, after the rework. So I don't know. Again, I feel like it's a good hero. It's a good pick. It serves its purpose, but you have to be willing to take the risk. And that's what I like about the hero, because for me, like, it is balanced. Because obviously, if you're not landing the shots, not landing the arrows, you can't really do too much in between that.
The Selena does well in clearing waves and bursting randos just hiding in bushes.
Yeah.
MPL Philippines Cast Search 2022 winner Burrito showed me that it's safe to clear waves and to use your kit to help in clearing waves.
Yeah.
Earlier we played ranked games, so I'm a believer. It's just you have to use it well.
Yeah, you have to use it well, and it would be interesting to see, you know, now that we've thrown that fact out there, is if it's actually that Falcons get their hands on a Selena. But again, you build the lineup around it, and you can go through there, because looking at the first phase bans here, they do take out a Granger. We do have Falcons on the blue side. This time we got Smart Omega on the red. So we'll see what the priority is going to be for Falcons. What do you think that's going to be this time around, Brigida?
Could it be a Harith here, since there's a Phobius ban as well? The Luis taken out, but that's like something you just can't allow to be there, but then they see ahead and don't allow the Harith to be taken here by Team Falcons. So could they possibly just revert back to the jungle trades here if ever they wanted to? And they will be deciding to go with the Joy. So for Omega, this time around, they could leave it for later. The Suyu could be just taken later, third, if they wanted to. Right now, I'm looking at either the Irithil's maybe too early to get picked up, so
Matilda's open.
the Moskov.
That's a big J pick, right?
Yeah.
So,
That's Big J.
that's him. Like, I think he had some of his best performances in S14 on the Moscow.
Oh, they still get it. Okay. They pick up the Moskov and the Suyo, so Super Marco, I think he's free to just decide on whatever pick he wants to use for later, unless they want to really go for the Irithil right now. There's still the Eve is still there, if they wanted to go for that, but they have the Joy in their hands either way, so they go for the Irithil already. Okay.
And that was the Hilda.
Hilda!
This was banned out in the previous game. So I think it was second phase, so it was banned out. This time around, though, yeah, they take the Irithil. And so now, really, when you look at Falcons, it's like, if they played the last lineup already that quick,
Yeah.
this lineup with these three picks are quick, too, in terms of mobility, but obviously the Irithil, and that's what we saw the struggle being in the previous game for Smart Omega. Like,
Yeah.
you need some time to build up on it.
And if this were to be an XP Hilda, just in case it is, like how does Louis stop those fast rotations, right? Oh, but this is a very
There's John.
decisive roamer for Smart Omega. I like this better. We can potentially see a lot more plays being made across the map, and I'd like to believe it is going to be paired up with a high damage dealing mage as well. I'm not entirely sure if they'll be banning the Selena though, since the matchup too is pretty good.
Already between the Jawhead and this Suyo, that's a lot of damage.
That's
you know.
that's
they
we
did.
know, not just me, bro. That's we know.
That's
Okay.
an M6 special. The teams who played this duo
We did this.
knows that you control a lot of the early camps if you do visit. But here's the thing. I like the Jawhead into the Hilda because you punish the vagrant Hilda.
Yeah,
the one
yeah.
that's just randomly hiding in a bush. You throw it into the rest of your squad,
Yep.
and then she dies.
Yeah, it's
So it's a good pickup. Like even Jawhead was banned in the same spot
yeah.
in game 1.
But that's why I'm wondering if Falcons might do the same thing where this Hilda pick, they could possibly flex it like they did with the Badang
I
earlier
hope
on.
not. I hope
They,
not.
like, what if, you know what I mean? Because we said that day one, and we saw it a couple times.
And
that
it lost.
It did
It
lose.
lost
It did.
gloriously.
well, I mean they took out majority of like the threats too for the Jawhead right here, so they should be confident enough to pick up what's left in the mid lane, the Sicilian, the Valentina, because even the Faramis is out.
Yeah, there's...
The Eve, the Farsas, if they really want to go for that, they're confident enough since they already have like some sort of playmaking hero in their hands too. Like, even their lineup, they still go for the Valentina. So even if Falcons decides to go for the Farsa again, or the Eve even, that still be okay for Smart Omega.
This is also just really good because even, I mean, obviously you get your choice of ultimates, but just having that Terrify effect, let's say you go in for that, you know, ejector and you do toss someone up,
Yep.
keeps them there a little bit longer if you go ahead and, you know, stack up those CCs, if you will, and allows the Suyo to be able to make plays. Because some of that early pressure can just be in the side lanes early on, and those three heroes alone, when you're rotating in that trio roam combination is good enough to get Suyo kills. So I think it's Smart Omega really wanting to emulate what Falcons did for Karltzy in the previous game. You know, get the start going, get the ball rolling early on. So what are the answer? What's the response here from Falcons? It's going to be a chip and an Eve.
Whoa, 2 major ultimates. Literally overwhelming Okir in terms of choices.
You could say 3 with the electrifying beats.
Yep.
Right. So now for the Luis hero, which was left last, like what does he use to stop those quick rotations? What does he use to go head to head with Hilda? There's the CC that's still available, but they still decide to go for the Hylos.
Hylos XP?
Hylos XP.
When was the last time we saw that work? Legit question, like I forgot.
I mean,
I
It's
also
been a while. It's been a while. I'm not saying it's never going to work. I'm just,
November.
I'm inquiring.
it's been a minute. We gotta ask the stat guy for that one. I know, shout out to Renmar. Renmar's probably at home right now looking it up, typing in his master stats, you know. But it's interesting that they go this way, but I do feel like I'm going to lean towards the fact that I like what Smart Omega did for the draft, at least in game 2. I think the tools or the pieces are there for them to go ahead and have a similar start that Falcons did in game 1. The only thing is how do they actually respond to the fact that, yeah, there is a lot of ultimates for here, for Akira to go ahead and take. Not only that, but then you also have to be mindful of the chip. We have seen the chip fall off in the past, but we still are reminded why it's such a good pick when it does occasionally pop up.
Welcome
That's the
to
clear-
Mobile
the fact that
Legends.
There's no clear answer to the chip. Like when Oakland says it's go time,
It's go time.
Omega better be ready to go
Yeah.
time.
And if you'd want to think about picking up an AOE ultimate similar to the real world manipulation, you can't just immediately decide to use it when you're taken by surprise by those sudden Y-walks or shortcuts coming in from Team Falcons, and they're likely to do that. You have to position yourself if you were Okir. So if you decide to go with that, you'd have to take into consideration an ultimate you could use to respond to those surprise attacks, or if you wanted to be the playmakers this time, which is again mentioned in our keys to victory, then something that could complement that aggression.
Yeah, and while we wait for the teams here to get settled, of course, in the early rotations, just a quick reminder and heads up, you guys can go ahead and grab your tickets right now for next week's matches. Head over on the line to go ahead and find those and grab them because they do go fast. Now, looking at the emblems, Brig, anything sticking out to you?
Nothing too unusual. There's again the speed, the mobility taken into consideration for Flap, but Luis, it seems like his role here is just really mainly to tank all the damage given the emblem combination. So I'm starting to see an idea of how Smart Omega really wants to take this by team fight. Given the kind of emblems that they chose to go for and given the lineup. But then there's a Jawhead too, so like they have multiple choices.
Luckily, Falcons' damage profile doesn't really threaten Lewis, at least until the late game. He can tank it.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, at this point too, it's a little calmer of a start, but Chaknu might be looking to try to catch Ogun
Oh
here.
no! He's cornered. Pops the Purify, forced to respond. Ogun sitting there about a third of his health, as Lewis tries to pull out the turtle.
I think it's good though. Get that Purify out before this turtle fight.
Yeah.
Yep. He isn't 4 yet. Ogun doesn't have his ultimate yet though. So they're just simply zoning each other prior to this turtle.
Both teams unsure if this is a turtle or not. Andoryu retreats to the orange buff. Ukir here gets blasted in front. Ogun waiting for
Oh, there you go.
the full-on shortcut. Pulls a trigger. This is enough to make enough space for Falcons to get that turtle. Karltzy scores.
That was beautiful zoning coming in from FLCN. Unlike Ogun, deciding to clear a single XP lane minion and getting a hold of his ultimate by the time they were dancing around the turtle, Chaknu was being zoned out so well he wasn't able to gain any experience. So they weren't able to fight or contest that turtle that was controlled by Falcons.
It was peaceful deterrence. There was no violence. No blood was shed for this turtle.
And maybe that's the best, I mean, for both the teams right now, because even for Falcons lineup, right, we already talked about how they need some time to build up, and that might be part of the game plan. If they can avoid these fights that obviously Chaknu is going to be looking for on the Jawhead, then so be it. You know, don't let it break out into the fight if you don't have to, even though you have some of that early damage already, for example, for Karltzy. So just secure these objectives early on.
Yet they're avoiding it so much, we haven't seen any kills. Now that even we're nearing the 4-minute mark of the game. And if I'm not mistaken, was Omega the team to set the 10 minutes into the game, we still don't have kills game last season? And I think it happened pretty early on too.
Yeah, we've had a couple of those, I feel like, especially last season. But, you know, this is more so the case too that Smart Omega, that they needed this old Chaknu.
Whoa, Karltzy knew Chaknu was there. Power of wildness. Serving up a kill to Karltzy, first blood drawn, and now the answer. A stolen real-world manipulation. Few flickers on out of there, denying Omega a clapback.
So many resources used up by Smart Omega. The flicker from Chaknu, the ultimate from Okir, the stolen real-world manipulation. But still they weren't able to take out Few.
Oh, inside the jungle, Omega faces off a shortcut once more. A peaceful invasion.
As much as it can be.
A polite theft of the buff.
It's literally like, hey, we're here. Thanks for the buff. Uh-oh, Joe.
Oh, Chome! Big J about to get squashed here by
Whoa!
and an SOD plus a flicker to deny that two-man gang. Moving up to the turtle. Omega collapsing down. Karltzy with the steal! Highway robbery! Once more, politely.
Politely as it gets.
Everything's just politely being done by Falcons here. I don't know if there was a well-timed stun coming in from Ogun too, but that was just such a clutch retribution play coming in from Karltzy.
Give me your turtle, please.
Give me your buffs, your turtles, and everything else, please. And what makes it funny is Joy is like the perfect hero for that to happen. Because you literally just, you know, step on in with your beats, you grab it and leave.
With max stacks, so you have the immunity, and then you get on out of there. Better than even Suyo, because Suyo has that moment, that window wherein if you get hit, you get hit.
Yeah.
But Joy can say, yeet.
Yeah, and they have little to no resources to do that just yet, not unless Chaknu just really reserves those interruption skills. Luis isn't always together with them during the objective takes because Falcons just does it so fast. They do it so quick, aside the fact that they're able to always surprise Smart Omega. Even looking at the positionings here for Ogun and Karltzy, you cannot split up if you are Smart Omega. That'll be an easy target for Falcons, but just the same.
FLCN welcomes 4 into that Y brush. Ogun deep behind enemy lines. All right, there's no theft here.
Yeah, not going to happen this time. But it was, you know, Karltzy pushing up on that tier 1 turret top side, gets that. he's just having a good old time. Like, he doesn't really have to join these fights, and that's one of the powers of the chips, right? You know that because when Ogwin decides, all right, I'm dropping down my shortcut, you can just have the whole party there if you want to. So he's going to put pressure elsewhere because he already knows. Again, he has that kind of that freedom to do that against Smart Omega's lineup.
Yep, and the Falcons are just too quick to rotate. It's always Ogwin being the first to get hold of the important brushes. And even now, I'm pretty sure they have an idea that they're just standing right there. But oh, look at that damage.
From few alone. Ukir down to half health. That was but a poke.
So how will they be dancing around the turtle this time? They're being blocked off by you with just those void crystals and void blasts.
And what's sad about it, if for Smart Omega, like, you have the jawhead, so your whole goal is to go ahead and get those pickoffs, but literally the only person that's been in range for Chaknu to catch is mostly Flap.
Yes.
Like, you're not going to, even if you toss Flap, he's just going to sprint away.
Yeah, because it's going to happen in the brushes.
And his itemization is perfect for what Omega brings. Lady, gentlemen,
Look at him.
anti-harass and tough boots. And look, he's going to survive this. Real world manipulation, stolen away. And he lives!
He's doing the flex right now.
What did I say? He lives!
And if they do decide to go for Ogwin, he has the Purify. So like there are so much limited options for Smart Omega to decide and engage in a team fight. Oh no!
Chaknu goes down. Flapteezy finds one. And the rest of Falcons collapse on this tier 2 down bottom.
This is more along the lines of some surgical gameplay going on. And anytime you've got the chip, that's what you can do here.
This is vintage Falcons. Even as far back as when they were Falcons AP Bren, when they were AP Bren, they would just slowly collapse down onto you, strangle your resources, take you away from your farm.
I can imagine him doing the pose each time he uses that sticker, but wait!
First pathway by Lewis, unable to save Andoryu. He goes down. That's a kill from Marco, and the rest of Omega retreat.
That seems like supposedly a lot of ways for Smart Omega to slow down Falcons. But it isn't enough. Not even the glorious pathway, not even the real world manipulations can prevent Falcons when they decide to go all in, when they decide to commit into a team fight.
So does that mean it's all on Jom?
It doesn't have to be, is the main point here for Smart Omega lineup, because again, if they were able to catch out Flap earlier on, you saw that they had close enough damage to kill him, but they just didn't cap out the kill, and that's again because of the fact that, Ukir, when he takes that real world manipulation, maybe he's able to pump out enough damage, but look at the itemization. He's too far behind right now to actually pump out that damage, so they're just going to lose this Lord as well.
Short down bottom! Big J gets sandwiched by 4, and the rest of them retreat. All this while, Falcons was taking the Lord. There's nothing on the board for the barangay.
That was very unfortunate. Jom was just trying his best to farm. That was typical Moskov split push gameplay, but that was anticipated here by Ogwin, and it was an immediate response from the rest of the members of Team Falcons.
And going back to that question that Leo asked, is it all on Jom? Well, they don't want it to be there, and they're not going to let it happen. So, hey, a milestone for the idol. Few now ranks 3rd in MPL PH all-time kills, 1356, surpassing Benny Cutie, and they're looking for more.
Falcons looking to penetrate. Glorious pathway set down by Lewis to help the rest of Omega retreat. You can almost feel Omega's nerves as Falcons circle around them in the sky, waiting to crash in. Holy Shield's taken down from mid and top.
Shield's already popping. So they're going to go ahead and work in with this Lord, at least looking to take maybe 1 or 2 turrets again. With this type of lead, like they did in the previous game, can Smart Omega defend it?
That's a stolen real world manipulation. Ukir helps set up the defense. Lord, down to a 10th of its health, will go down, saving that inhibitor.
Yep, it seems like a very disciplined approach from Falcons. They wouldn't want to risk having to fight under that turret with incomplete resources.
There's a real world manipulation coming in as the rest of Falcons bear down on this mid lane inhibitor. Omega's base penetrated, top lane up next on the docket. Chaknu gets hit by a Void Crystal, a Void Blast. In goes Karltzy, popping the ult, clearing the wave, then the turret falls. Back. Here's Omega, the flicker, and the ejector. Chaknu goes down, Lewis finds Marco, though, a double kill for Kyle as Andoryu falls.
Andoryu falls. I mean, Chaknu finds the right mark, kills Super Marco, but again, what are they going to do off of that? They lost the 2 base turrets, and that's only that first Lord.
Yep, Falcons were already happy enough with what they were able to get during that entire sequence. They might even attempt to still go for this last inhibitor turret for Smart Omega, since they only lost the Super Marco either way, so they can still possibly push up the waves. And I mean, look at that zoning. They're just dancing around the members of Smart Omega. But fortunately for them, they're able to defend. And Jome, at this point, already has his Trinity build. So somehow they already have a bit of damage to dish out, but they have to be very, very careful.
I think at this point, it's more so what we just witnessed, right? It's like Smart Omega, most of their chances or most of the opportunities that they get are going to be from Chaknu deciding to go in and kind of like sacrifice his body. Like that's the story of a lot of roamers out there, and that's, you know, how it usually goes when you're this far behind. Now, not to say they can't turn this game around. We've seen some crazier things already in week 1.
Yep.
But it is looking a little dire, so they've got to be able to go ahead and catch up to where they need to be. And also, part of this is also, again, Ukir, how he's utilizing the ultimates that he's taking, and most likely it's been the real manipulation.
Ogwin sets up a shortcut. Here comes the cavalry. The nest unloads. Jome put down very low. Karltzy was taking the Lord, and he responds. Lewis gets slain, and the rest of Omega retreat. They can't take this fight.
Oh, they want more?
It's not done. Ogwin sets up a CC. Not enough as the rest of Falcons want to take another lane.
There was already an adjustment. There were members watching Jome because they already had an idea that that could happen. But even despite that, it wasn't just a successful team fight for Team Falcons. It was an objective secured for them. They already have the Lord marching down the middle lane.
Once again, the power of the chip and that shortcut, and now it's Smart Omega, the barangay on the defense here.
An enhanced Lord crashing into the base, waiting to jump through. Oh, Chaknu looking low. Andoryu goes first. Chaknu survives, but not long enough to help quell this defense as Falcons get their first win in Season 15.
And congratulations to Falcons here, flying very high in the series. The first showing that we get from Smart Omega. And it's unfortunate for Smart Omega because, again, this was a strong showing back-to-back from Game 1 to Game 2 for Falcons.
Yep, but teams tend to start from kind of a similar situation. Even Falcons, right? They didn't get a win immediately upon entering the season. So we're looking at Smart Omega to bounce back in the coming weeks, in the coming days, because for Falcons, they've completed that already. It was clear that they were already in sync and they knew what they were doing in the entire series.
Falcons was in this very same position. Their opening match in Season 15, a sweeping loss.
Yep.
There's still hope for the barangay.
Every single team at this point, I mean, week 1 is always that kind of week for teams to find their footing. And obviously this is going to be the case here for Smart Omega as they take their bow here. And we'll see how they adjust, but that's not something they're not used to, right? This is something that they go through from season to season. And honestly, a lot of the teams, that's what I'm looking forward to in Season 15 in general, is just there's been so many surprises already. And it's good to see kind of the shakeup that's happening right now. I mean, talk about even having a week where, you know, your previous champions and your world champions face a loss, right? So there's a lot of opportunity for these teams to take that adjustment and move forward as the weeks go on. Because again, it's only week 1, and there's tons of things that can change from here.
Yep, it's the first match of today, Sunday, but look at the amount of fans and audience supporting the barangay. So I'm sure they're pretty optimistic for their team as well.
And that's something you can never take away from the barangay.
Yeah.
Very loyal, very loving, very passionate fans. Glad to see them here, but tonight it's all about Falcons.
It is, and we're going to go ahead and throw it on stage with our hosts and the Falcons for the winning interview.
Wala na, yung kaba ng kabuuan ng Team Few. I don't know kung nakita mo kanina, but everybody was really happy and rooting for you dahil nakakuha ka ng 2 achievements just by this match alone. You are now 3rd in all-time kills in MPL PH history. Can you believe it? As a mid laner, na-overtaken mo na si Benny with 1,656 kills all over your entire career. At hindi lang yon, kasi this is also his 200th match. Hindi lang game hindi lang game. So umabot sa point of view na bata ka pa lang, tapos naka-face mask ka pa, naglalaro ka na rin, tapos kasal ka na, naglalaro ka pa rin, two-time world champion ka na, naglalaro ka pa rin. Ano bang nagde-drive sa'yo? Why do you keep going this far, just, showing everybody what you can do?
Para sa akin siguro yung passion ko sa paglalaro, tapos yung lahat ng taong nakikita kong naniniwala pa rin sa akin, kaya nandito pa rin.
There's a lot of people who do believe him, Karltzy.
Okay, ako naman, lapit ka sa akin dito. May tanong ako. Well, first of all, congrats sa inyo ni Madam IC. Masasabi mo ba mas inspired ka maglaro ngayon?
Siguro, mas inspired. Kasi para sa future talaga din.
Yun. Okay. Okay, kapag ka kasi binabanggit ang hero na si Lina, isa sa unang naiisip ay ikaw. Tapos ngayon, lagi na siyang ginagamit ulit sa RG. Isa na dyan si Burrito. So, what are your thoughts na bumabalik sa meta si Selena?
Masaya naman na napipick na ngayon si Selena kahit hindi siya ganun ka-successful sa tournament. Pero sa scrimmages kasi pati sa RG lagi siyang nasa pick or nasa ban. So, siguro tatry pa namin i-polish na yung playstyle ng Selena, hanapin namin kung saan talaga siya babagay bago namin ilabas ulit.
Favorite mo pa rin naman siya?
Apo.
Okay. Okay, next naman kausapin natin si Flap. Flap!
And, wait.
Ayan, mukhang...
Lumalambing pa si Flap. Okay.
Mukhang swerte yung post ni Flap kanina. Isa pa nga. Okay, Flap. Hindi lang yan yung swerte mo, I'm sure. Isa na sa lucky charm nyo ay yung fans nyo sa Green Falcons. So ano namang masasabi mo sa mga fans nyo?
Sa mga fans namin dyan, thank you sa magpunta. Mga fans namin dyan, maraming salamat. Gagalingan pa po namin.
Si Karltzy.
Gagalingan pa raw nila.
Gagalingan pa nila. Flap, hindi pa tayo tapos. Gusto ko malaman, ilang kilos na ba ang nabe-bench press? Ilang kilos na?
80 kg.
80 kg. May 80 kg umabot? Meron? 80? Ilan?
4 reps siguro.
4 reps. Sabi niya 86 reps daw eh. Pero hindi. Kayang-kaya. Kitang-kita sa physique. Now, you guys just gave Team Falcons your very first win. You're under a new organization, Flap. I want to know how it feels. Kasi this is a totally different scenario, but you're still the same still the same squad. Kamusta ba maging part ng Team Falcons representing the Philippines?
Kahit anong org po, basta kami kayo pa rin yung magkakasama. Masarap sa feeling kasi kumbaga nandun pa rin yung chemistry namin tsaka di na namin kailangan magbago ng chemistry kasi magkakasama kaming lahat.
And you guys are still together, getting your very first win. Your winners, Team Falcons Philippines. Boys, you may now take your walk of victory. Falcons Nest are really happy, and boys, you may now take your bow. Team Falcons, the Green Falcons, the Falcons Nest, they are very much happy getting their very first win dito sa Season 15.
Yes, Hans. And unang match pa lang yan ang araw na to. Pero kita na natin yung giggle sa players, especially Team Falcons, para ipakita yung mga baon nila.
Well, I'm sure that with that clean gameplay, our casters will have a lot of things to say about that match. So casters, take it away.
Thank you, Hans, Karltzy, and also Falcons. I got a lot to say about that. Did he say 80 kg?
He did.
He's repping on the bench.
He did. What was it, 5 max?
4?
5 reps max.
Four?
I think he said 4.
Okay, well, Brigade I heard is getting really
And
close to 80 kg.
86.
I like counting rounds, so 5
5?
is what I said.
All right. I'm going to have a bench off. We can join him, actually. We can do a bench
You
off.
want to do a lat pull?
Not me.
We can.
Lat rows?
I don't know about that, because look at those guns right there, man. TZ getting MVP, by the way.
Yep, and
Pangsilda.
it didn't feel like there was any way for Smart Omega to stop this, and this was one of the main reasons why Hilda became such a priority in the XP lane, why it was used even in the roam because of its capability to disrupt and just constantly be in the presence of your opponents and just heal every now and then once you get into the brushes. So you can see the immediate respo all the time.
I'm glad it's never stopped. Like that face and the emote that is also in the game there. But, you know, taking a look at the MVP highlights here for this game. Again, there's great usage, and I know it's flap easy here with the Hilda, but you have to commend even Ogwin, because, again, from what we saw earlier in the week, just yesterday, and how they came together here in this game, it's the synergy, and this is like, you mentioned, Leo, this is like the old Falcons AP Bren when they were AP Bren that we saw before. You know, the way that they executed and played and rotated around this game was really showcasing that.
And it was mainly off of Flapteezy's lead.
Yeah.
He was the one constantly living in Omega's side of the map, which allowed for a majority of the polite theft that went down.
Yeah, I also like how you mentioned Ogwin, because even when it came to points where we would think that the chip could do so much whenever they already exposed the base and whatnot, they were even able to time the usage of the shortcut so that it could just buy them a little bit more time to push some inhibitor turrets or even the base. During the last sequence, the shortcut was laid out right there, and it's considered as a unit, right? So like the turret somehow still attacks it every now and then you still get to provide more space for Super Marco and for the rest of the members to just lock on that base. And they didn't even prolong it anymore. They knew that they could have just ended it right then and there. And for the second game in a row, Smart Omega is yet to take down or get even a turret off of Team Falcons.
Yeah, it was just really a similar thing where Falcons approached this with the lineup that they had. They just didn't let any kind of tempo start from Smart Omega. So I think that's one thing that Smart Omega has to do going into week 2 is figuring out how can we get our footing started in these games, regardless of who we end up playing, because that seems to be the case here. And a lot of these meta picks that we're starting to see pop up and shape in this is going to have to be answered by all the teams out there. I mean, even Chip, when it's thrown out there, you know, by certain teams that do like to go ahead and draft it.
Yeah, I think there was a clear attempt from Smart Omega this time to set, quote-unquote, that tempo. There were multiple attempts from Chaknu, but again, it was so hard for them to get the perfect target. In that single moment wherein they did, Falcons were ready to fight back. And in the few moments they decided to go for Flap, he could just, again, heal in the brushes. If they went for Ogwen, again, he had the Purify. And it was impossible for them to either throw Karltzy or even Super Marco.
All right, fair enough. We did say that Omega should set the tempo and then Falcons to break it. Only one of those teams got to do what their key to victory was. Because, all right, given it is a small sample size, I don't think we know what Omega's tempo is just yet.
Yeah.
Like, what are they about in Season 15?
What is the new timer?
Yeah, what does a Lewis Omega look like?
That's true.
That whole, the explosive, you know, obviously, like, Flap here. He's probably one of the most explosive expilators that you're going to see just in general, inside and outside. Just athletic. And, you know, for Luis, yeah, like you mentioned, he kind of maybe needs to find his own footing in the XP lane, but then that'll transition once the whole team gets there. Because even for Big J, man, like Big J didn't get any room to do what we're used to seeing from Big J.
It's not like it's the first time we've seen a whole team collapse on Big J and then him get away with it, right?
Yeah.
Given here he didn't, but in previous seasons he did.
Yeah.
So, like, what can they do, right, to help that happen again?
Yep, they really need to find and identify like the timings they want to pull off. Because for the games we've seen today, I'm not entirely sure if they're really more early-centric or not.
And with the next matchup here to round out week 1 for day 3, we have TLPH versus Twisted Minds. So we've all got to get ready for this one. TLPH off after yesterday, I think, was a great showing for a lot of people. It's also great to see what Twisted Minds would be able to do after what we saw from, day 1, if I remember right. They played on day 1, and have they gotten to a position, because I remember the three of us over here, we were mentioning that, you know, it seemed like their own minds were a little bit twisted, and it was rough. Day 1, it was rough. And so hopefully, given this amount of time they've had up to this point for now day 3, and going against a team that TLPH, man, they were phenomenal yesterday. Hopefully they can bring something to the table here.
I mean, some familiar faces, former teammates will be seeing each other too.
MP3 reunion, MP3 reunion.
Hey, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, but they have an idea of how the other plays, right? But As a team, I think that's what really counts. The way that TLPH is able to perform as a team, even with their newest addition,
Yeah.
that's what we failed to see from Smart Omega here, and what we're hoping to see from Twisted Minds, especially after already gaining day one experience.
Yeah, definitely. And again, you know, for Twisted Minds, it's one of those teams that I would love to see rise up to the occasion, and they can start there. So we're going to be thrown over to the stage once again with our All Access. We'll be back after this. Let's throw it over to stage.
Right after the match, para sa araw na to, we still saw a lot of matches. Of course, Team Falcons right behind us, fresh from that victory. Pero as of this moment, kasama natin walang iba, kundi ang isa sa mga representatives ng Infinix, none other than Miss Jelly Buan. Jelly, it's so nice to have you here with us today. Maraming salamat for giving us your time. I want to know a bit more about what Infinix has in store for MPL Philippines. What can we expect from the brand moving forward for this season?
Yes, hello, good afternoon.
Good
Hans,
afternoon.
and thank you for having Infinix this afternoon. Grabe, very excited kami this season because we have a lot of things going on for our fans. Of course, the overall MPL community. Of course, as the official gaming partner of Team Aurora, we'll be having exclusive watch parties for their fans and our fans as
That's
well.
fun.
And then we also have the Fancy Laban booth. If you go visit the Infinix booth over here, you can experience the official tournament phone and of course compete with other teams. Then lastly, we'll also be having the Infinix University League, which we're opening up nationwide. So this time, di na lang siya within the metro. And then lastly, of
Ang dami.
course, madami talaga.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
And then lastly, of course, we're expanding the Infinix GT Burst. So aside from the phone, we'll be also having a GT Buds, a GT Tablet, and of course a GT Laptop. Because at Infinix, we don't just build powerful devices. We make sure everyone enjoys the game and experience lakas na laro with Infinix.
Man, you can literally play like a pro. Kasi gaya nga ng nasabi ni Jelly, the Infinix Pansiklaban, you're using the best phones available on play. At yan din, yung ginagamit ng ating mga MPL players. Now, I want to know a bit more about those programs that you've mentioned from a while ago. Specifically, the Masterclass program. I want to know what's it all about.
Right, so it's a first for Infinix. We're
Okay.
visiting universities nationwide as mentioned. And we're educating fans and students about esports or probably a career in mobile gaming.
Okay.
So, and we might also bring their favorite esports players. So, yeah, that's what we have.
I mean, nabanggit mo kanina yung team, right? So, hindi malabo na makita nyo sila sa inyong university or maybe somewhere else. But, Jelly, I also wanna ask you to invite them to come over at the MPL Arena para ma-enjoy din nila yung booth ng Infinix.
Guys, go watch MPL Live. There are a lot of exclusive prizes, not just from Infinix. We have Time Zone, Smart, and a lot more brands here. So, sobrang saya. Let's go. Let's watch.
Jelly, maraming salamat for taking the time to do this. And I am sure everybody else is ready for the next matchup because it is going to be Twisted Minds going up against Team Liquid Philippines sa pagbabalik ng MPL Philippines Season 15.
Hindi aabot ang data! Nice!
Don't worry, be only with Smart Power All 99. Hindi nabitin with 10 gig data plus only Facebook or TikTok and more. Load now!
Who needs to go to a concert when you can own that stage with your friends?
Enjoy a night of impromptu bowling tournament.
worry. Be only with Smart Power All 99. Hindi nabitin with 10 gig data plus only Facebook or TikTok and more. Load now.
Who needs to go to a concert when you can own that stage with your friends?
Enjoy a night of impromptu bowling tournament.
Hello. Hello, good match, mate.